Tonight we are at QT, one of my favourite live music venues in London, and we have got a pop star. So Eleni C, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me today.
No, welcome. How's things? How's life going? It seems like you're a busy person at the moment.
I mean, life is pretty good right now. Can't complain. From music to events to just loving summer, really.
So how did everything start for you? Because are you fresh on the scene? Tell to someone who hasn't seen or heard of you, what do you do? Where did you come from? And tell us a backstory about you.
I would say that I haven't just kind of come on the scene now. It's been many years of like hard work and grafting. I started out when I was really, really young with, you know, a dream that I wanted to be a singer. And then from like the age of about like 12 or 13, I started performing. And then as I was getting older, I was like, I want to do my own music. And then I started going around London doing the open mic scene.
Nice.
Which was, I absolutely loved it.
Do you remember your first one?
My first one was in Camden Town. It was called, I think it's called the Camden Head.
Yeah, the Camden Head.
It was literally there. It was a Sunday night, and I remember going there and I was so nervous because it was the first time I was going to perform one of my own songs. And then from there, it was just kind of like an every week occurrence.
Wow. When was that? When was the first ever gig for you?
The first open mic was probably when I was about 18.
Firstly, would you like a drink?
Why not?
Have you heard of Pimente?
I haven't.
Okay, these are spiced margaritas. They are phenomenal.
Cute.
I'm gonna pop, we've only got crushed ice, so I don't know how that's going to work. So there you go. There's one for you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'm going to have one.
I must say I'm a crushed ice fan.
Your crushed ice is the best.
I don't like cubes. They're too big.
Cubes, and have you seen this new trend of massive cubes that just fit in a glass?
All I know is that I see too many cubes in an iced coffee. I do not like that.
No, it's the wrong way. So take me back to where it all started. When did you first have an interest in music, and bring me back to your beginnings?
So beginnings was from about like 12, and then I started doing like the open mic scene when I was about 18.
Nice.
And then I graduated from uni, and it was kind of at that point where you have like that crossroad and you're thinking to yourself, do I continue? Do I kind of go down the road of doing something more towards my degree? Which was media and communication. So not too far.
I was going to say that sometimes it's like I did geography and now I'm being a singer.
Like completely black and white.
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, I was like, do you know what? I've got a passion. I want to chase it, because I never want to be one of those people that gets older and thinks to myself, you know, what if I tried? You know, what would it have been like? Because I just think that like what ifs are like one of the worst things to have. You
can't go to your deathbed with a what if.
No, you can't. No. And I feel like when you're young and you don't have like responsibilities on your shoulders, it's just that's the time when you need to kind of live your life, do what you're passionate about, make your mistakes, because you know no one's perfect. We all make mistakes here and there.
They're important though, aren't they?
Of course.
To learn. If you don't make them, I mean, you're probably not going to get that far, to be honest.
That's true. I always say that probably my biggest like learning curves were in the moments that I either made mistakes or I didn't achieve what I wanted, because it's those times that should make you want to work harder and push you more.
Absolutely. And so how did you get into the music scene? Did you put stuff on YouTube? Was it from the live gigs themselves? How did that all kick off?
It was a mixture of everything. It was from the live shows, from like social media, to word of mouth. Going to different producers, meeting different like people in that sphere, and kind of like when someone was like, you know, I've got this opportunity. At the beginning, I was that yes person. You never say no. You never say no. You got to pay your dues, especially when you're fresh in the scene. Every time something came along, I was like, yes, I'll do it. Do you want to perform here? Yes, I will. Do you want to try and record? Yes.
Did you nearly burn out by any chance?
Well, you know, I think when you're young, you're full of energy.
You're made of rubber and magic, aren't you?
And then during the day is a time to sleep.
I guess so, yeah. It's all the nighttime workers, they are literally nocturnal now. True. That's how it rolls.
And also I feel like when the night comes, you kind of create more.
Do you think?
For me, yes. It's like the creativity just kind of like flows and the energy's there.
It's interesting you say that, because I think it's interesting to see how people are most productive, and a lot of people do say like almost 9 till midnight for them, they're amazing. I find right before bed is when I get a spark of, and you're like, cheers, brilliant, this is great.
I was literally exactly the same when I was doing like my GCSEs and my A-levels.
Yeah.
I was that person that would like, it would hit 11 o'clock and I was like, do you know what, I've just thought of an idea, like bam, let's start revising now. I'm like, I can feel like the energy is in.
And then you're knackered the next day, yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, this is where coffee is a bastard and kicks in. And you're like, oh, coffee will sort this out. Amazing. So the first gig was when you were 18. When did things really start to take off for you? Because you've got how many album singles? Tell me all about this. I'm fascinated.
I mean, God, how many singles? That's a good question.
No one ever knows how many they have.
I should know that. That is a question I should know. An answer I should know, but I don't. I think
a lot.
Maybe, yeah. Let's say
that's
I've got
great. Because it was something you just said as well, which is interesting. I interviewed DJ duo Jen and Alfie, and they are blowing up at the moment. And she said exactly that. It's no one really sees how much grafting you have to do in terms of reaching out. Much like an entrepreneur will reach out to investors, and 99% are like, feck off. It's the same, I guess, for you. You're reaching out. Tell me about that.
I think because of the rise, especially of social media, there is always that pressure of making sure that you present like the perfect picture, the perfect face, and I feel that, you know, artists and probably a lot of people within like the media industry, we fall into that trap of always wanting to seem perfect. And sometimes the work that goes in behind the scenes is not necessarily seen, which is as well one of the reasons why I decided to also go on like a school tour.
I was gonna,
because I think it's so important to let like the younger generation know, especially what goes on behind the scenes and what you have to do to achieve something great or achieve what you want.
Yeah, it's there's a great quote. So I'm by the way a master of having quotes that are related to something you're talking about, but never getting the quote right. So on that fact, it's the fact that people see you're an overnight success that's taken 10 years.
Yeah.
And it's like that's how it is. Oh wow, where's this person? They've just sprung up. You look at Matt Rife, I think it is, he's been popping up left, right and centre on Instagram, a comedian, and it looks like he's just exploded in the past month, but I guarantee you he did all the gigs that you were doing, all of this sort of 10 years worth of hard graft, and now people are only seeing it. So
you have to like literally nothing happens overnight. And I think the problem that we have nowadays is that on social media it's portrayed sometimes as happening overnight, but you don't really understand what goes on behind. And for me, like, it took many years of not only just hard grafting, but even trying to find myself, because at the beginning I was just this girl with a dream. And then getting into the business and also growing up within the business, it changes you as well as a person.
You watch that happen on quite a big scale.
It does.
Would you say that's going on to this school tour, is that that must have grounded you quite a lot, I guess?
Yeah, because for me, I think the biggest change that occurred was kind of me understanding how the real world works. Because I'm one of those people that I always love helping others. I always love to see the good in people. And I think growing up and being in this business, I've learned that sometimes it's okay to not be able to work with somebody or have differences of opinions with other people, because I feel that we're sometimes conditioned to always think that we have to agree with each other, we have to get on, but actually no, life is much bigger than that. It's okay to be with somebody that sees the world in a different way, because you learn so much from them as well.
That's a real growth mindset right there, because I think, I don't think this is how it works in London, particularly, as people seem to confuse the fact that if someone has a differing opinion, it's like they dislike them. It's like, you are allowed to have, you can still be friends and have differing opinions. That's the whole point of an opinion. So it's how do you find London then? Because London's, particularly in your industry, I mean, it can be quite savage.
I mean, mean, you know, I would say life in general is quite savage.
That's why people drink.
Exactly. But do you know what I always say? My thing is like, just keep moving. You just got to keep moving.
Keep swimming.
Yeah. But you got like, you know, something goes wrong. You know, you bump the roads with somebody, and you know what? You just got to keep moving.
The obstacle is the way. It's
exactly.
great phrase.
You have the goal in mind, but you've got to understand that the journey is never going to be what you planned it to be from the beginning.
So true. And it's the journey that makes you.
Exactly.
That's what I mean.
And then when you get to that goal, so I've been in a position where you get to that goal, and by the time you're there, you're like,
exhausted.
You're like, okay, what's next?
This is the thing. Stephen Bartlett pointed this out in an interview. He was saying, once you get, when he sold his company, something like 300 million, I don't know if that's a lie or not, but let's say 300 million, he was just sort of, it was very anticlimactic. He was like, cool, what now? And I use the analogy of The Sims. Did you ever play The Sims?
I didn't. I know what The Sims is, but
God.
I never played it because
I'm really upset with that. You were busy. She was busy.
I'm sorry. No, do you know what it was? I was never really into computer games.
The Sims was one that breached it for, I guess it made normal people, anyone just be into a video game. But the analogy is so good, I think it's, when people played it, you could do cheat codes, and there was one cheat code which meant you got unlimited money, you could buy everything, and you'd do it and be like, yes, this is going to be so fun. And the minute you did that, you were bored in 10 seconds. And I think that's the same for life. When you have a goal you're striving towards, it's actually, if you can step back and look at the journey and how, yes, it may be a roller coaster of highs and lows, but the journey is so enjoyable, fulfilling, tough, all those words, but
100%.
Having that thing in your headlights is important.
Absolutely, because I always believe that the journey is the thing that allows you to grow and learn.
Yeah.
And then it's like you know, when you go for dinner, it's like the dessert is the end goal.
I like that.
It's like the dessert is the end goal.
You're looking for, that's in the back of your mind the whole time, isn't
exactly.
it?
But then you're going to go through the dinner, you're going to have your chats, you're going to enjoy your night, and that's the journey.
And it's awesome. I like it. Too great. And I like it's a little bit better than mine. I'm not gonna lie. So tell me about this school tour. So I saw, firstly, your list of accolades is amazing. We'll go through those. But so I saw you performed on CBBC. That's pretty cool.
Yes.
And was that before or during or after this tour you did? And tell me about the tour.
It was during. It was during the tour. It was so lovely because I got to do CBBC fortunately twice.
Oh, cool.
So I got to do it. The first time was during like us coming out of like the COVID era.
Oh, okay.
So it was very much different to my second experience because you weren't allowed to have like the children on set. I was only allowed I was only allowed to have one person with me, so I couldn't have my dancers. So it was a very different experience.
Did you prefer that?
No, you see, I love being around people. I love performing to crowds.
Love it.
So for me, the second time, it's the perfect job. Picked well. I love being around people, and I love performing with my dancers. So for me, the second time was amazing because I was able to take them with me. We were allowed to have like the kids around while we were performing. So it was a really lovely experience.
Amazing.
They were both really, really great experiences.
How long was the tour?
So the tour is kind of ongoing, to be honest.
What was the number you've done? How many schools?
I've done over 100 schools.
I was going to say, it was triple figures. Wow.
There is a lot of schools.
There's a lot of schools in England.
I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface yet.
How many more? Another million?
Maybe.
So it sounds like it's all going brilliantly. Tell me about your most recent single and what's going on there.
So my recent single is called Living a Dream.
Yes, that's the one.
Living a Dream. Oh,
this one.
Song. Yay.
Actually, I should do this. It's here. Here it is.
So that song, actually, we had that song. So I co-write all my songs.
Amazing.
And we had this one in particular for how many years now? It was probably one of like the first ones that I had in kind of like my portfolio of, you know, the Eleni C songs.
The million songs.
And it was one of those songs that we kept coming towards and saying, you know what, let's release it. And then it was like, oh, not yet. So finally we thought to ourselves, you know what, we're going to release this song. We're going to take the plunge and do it. So it came out a couple months ago in time for Valentine's Day, because it's that, you know, that lovey-dovey song.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay, lovely. Okay.
So living a dream is all about kind of going after that love that sets your heart on fire, you know.
The best kind.
Exactly, you know. I feel like you need to have a bit of fire, you know. It's part of passion.
It's important, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. It's. I'd say it's the best bit. You know, that initial.
Yeah.
It's like the honeymoon phase, but with a bit of an oomph.
And you know what? If it doesn't work out, again, going back to what I was saying before, at least you tried. You know, you can't have those what ifs.
Exactly. I love that attitude. You've got a very strong growth mindset. Has that always been the case?
No, it hasn't.
No?
No, it hasn't.
Okay.
It hasn't. Again, it came with experience. It came with experience and understanding that if I wanted to grow and be in this business, I needed to understand that I can't be defined by like my failures or disappointments.
Brilliant.
So it was a case of really learning that whatever milestone came my way, good or bad, I needed to acknowledge and respect them irregardless of what they were. And it was something that I was taught it because I have like a fantastic team of people around me, and I learned from them, especially one person in particular. I learned from her that if you want to grow and be better, you need to just accept that sometimes things don't happen your way, and it's not through lack of trying. It's just that maybe it's life, and it's just not meant to be yours at that time.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's like it's almost acceptance of what happens, and rather than looking at it as I fucked up. Say you might have felt you fucked up, but you can still go and work on that and be better. And yeah, I think it's accepting it, because the minute you don't, the more you hold on to it. You become
a prisoner of it.
So that's moving on to the mental health side of things. Now I saw that's something you're very passionate about. Tell me, where did that all start, or why actually?
So mental? I always get asked this question.
Oh, it's a great topic in this day and age.
It is, and a lot of the time people say to me, you know what, Eleni, why do you do it? And growing up, I witnessed very, very close loved ones of mine experiencing mental health difficulties.
It's hard to be around, isn't it?
It is very, very hard to be around, and like I even have a very close loved one of mine at the moment who is still battling with an addiction. And I always said to myself growing up that if I ever had a platform that I could make a difference or help a young person not experience mental health, then I wanted to do so.
Love that.
So the opportunity came up to kind of go on a school tour to promote my music, and then I thought to myself, do you know what? During the tour, I am going to get the chance to speak to the students, so why not talk to them about mental health? Why not talk to them about my experiences of it in the music industry and personally? Because I just think that young people need to know that what they see online and the successes that they see.
Bullshit. Social media.
Yes and no, but they need to understand that there is a journey behind it, and we all have a story.
Love that.
We all have a story.
Yeah.
You know, nobody has the perfect background. We all have good and bad moments. And for me, I also wanted to give a voice to those students who are witnessing their loved ones going through difficulties, because sometimes they are overshadowed. You know, we focus so much on the people who are going through the let's just say the mental health battle, that we forget that the other people around them as well are going through their own struggle.
That's a nice take on it, because I think you're right. It often gets forgotten that actually when you're swept up in someone going through mental health, especially when you don't know how to address it, deal with it, it's not exhausting, but it can take you down. And there's a quote which is quite savage, but it's to do with self-esteem. Is when you're around people with low self-esteem, you risk being pulled down.
100%.
But then of course you want to help those people as well. So it's a bit of a paradox.
And do you know what it is? It also goes back to as well, so I again learned this very valuable lesson from a very wise person.
I'm loving this.
you need to surround yourself with people who not
100%.
only have the same energy as you, but are going to be there to lift you up in your good moments and celebrate
And the bad
your
ones.
achievements. Yes.
Yeah.
Because that again plays a massive role in your mental health.
Yeah.
It's like when people say, show me who your friends and I tell you who you are. It's one of those cases. And I always say to the students, I'm always like, before you say something, before you do something, just think to yourself, like, is this going to be a representation of how you want to be perceived? Because again, when we're young, we don't sometimes acknowledge how important our decisions are and how much they can impact our futures. And
That's so true.
I just want to in a way, like, open students' eyes to the fact that if they've got a dream, they can damn well go and pursue it, because I didn't come from a musical family.
Amazing. I think you're so true. That's amazing advice, because I think I don't know why it is, English culture is very, I don't know, you often get shut down your dreams. It's a weird English culture. I don't know why, and I think it's very important to push people to be unrealistic. The worst piece of advice I think someone can give is be realistic. Go shoot for the stars.
Yeah, but the majority of the time, life is unrealistic.
It's
if you're gonna live off the thing of be realistic, then you're never gonna have any adventures.
You're gonna have a very boring life.
Literally, it's gonna be very, very, very
exactly.
boring.
Well, there's a great quote as well as what you were saying earlier about when you're younger. I mean, go back and look at your Facebook when you're younger. I don't know about you. You're going to cringe. You are going to cringe, and you are basically a completely different person, because every 7 years your body has, this is a fact apparently, your body has completely replaced every single cell in the body. So technically, you're a completely different person.
We are different.
We are.
Every 7 years we're evolving.
Yeah, I'm 3.0. Well, on that note, I'm going to move back to the music. Tell me what's next for you.
So next we have new music, which I'm very, very, very excited about, because this new music, it's 2 collaborations coming up with DJs.
Ooh,
and
can you say which ones?
Not quite yet.
She's going to tell me though.
I'll tell you BTS moments, I'll tell you. And I'm really excited, because this has been probably a work in progress for about a good year to 2 years.
Wow.
So we've finally got to that point where we're like, the deal is signed, the singles are coming, and yeah, I'm really, really excited for this new phase. You
can't talk about them? As in, you can't say what? Sorry, you can't name them?
I can't quite yet.
Well, that's even more exciting for you guys.
So it's even more of a reason to check out my socials.
Yes.
Follow me there, and the announcement will come there.
Exactly. Well, Eleni, thank you so much for coming on. That was awesome. And you can find all of our socials here, and here, and here. And so tonight, before we finish, we are at a venue called QT, which is an amazing live music venue. They do food and drinks as you're watching the most amazing jazz band play. Leo Green, shout out to you. And you're going to be experiencing it tonight. So,
I am. I'm very excited.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, and we look forward to all your success.